Okay, so if you're a contractor or you run your own business, you've definitely heard the term surety bond, right? It's this super crucial piece of the puzzle for getting your license and, actually winning jobs. But let's be real, it can also be kind of confusing. So in the next few minutes, we're going to clear all of that up. So why are we talking about this right now? Well, it really all comes down to this number. $1.7 trillion. That's the staggering amount of federal infrastructure money that's pouring into the economy. And what that means for you is an absolutely unprecedented demand for bonded contractors. This isn't just some number on a screen. It is a massive, massive opportunity. And trust me, this is no small niche market we're talking about. The U.S. surety industry is worth nearly $20 billion, and it's growing at almost 7% every single year. For any business owner, especially if you're in construction, really getting a handle on this market is the key to unlocking some serious growth.
With so much opportunity on the line, let's just pause and get back to basics. What in the world is a surety bond anyway? We're going to break it down. No jargon, no complicated terms, just a straight up, simple explanation.
At its very core, a surety bond is a promise. That's the best way to think about it. It's an agreement between three parties that financially guarantees you're going to do what you say you're going to do, whether that's following state laws or finishing a project on time. It's basically a seal of trust that's backed by a major financial institution. So who are these three parties in the agreement? Well, first, there's you, or your business. You're called the principal. Then there's the group that's requiring the bond, like a state licensing board. They're called the obligee. And finally, you have the surety, which is the insurance company that's providing the financial guarantee. It really is like a three-legged stool. You need all three for that promise to stand strong. Okay, so you've probably guessed that not all bonds are created equal. They generally fall into four main buckets, and once you understand this basic framework, it's way easier to figure out exactly what you need for your business. Here they are. You've got license and permit bonds, which you need just to operate legally. Then there are contract bonds, which are for specific projects. You've also got court bonds for legal stuff, and commercial bonds for other types of business compliance. Now, for our purposes today, we're really going to focus in on those first two, because they're the ones that are most critical for contractors and business owners like you. All right, let's zero in on what really matters most if you're a contractor. There are two essential bonds that you absolutely, positively need to understand inside and out. And this comparison here is just so important. A license bond, that gives you the legal permission to run your business. It's an ongoing thing, you renew it annually, and approval is often super fast, sometimes instant. A performance bond, on the other hand, that's for one specific project. It guarantees you'll finish that job according to the contract. And because the stakes are higher, it requires a much more in-depth financial review to get approved. So, here's the main takeaway, the thing you really need to remember. It's not an either-or situation. Most contractors need both. Think of it this way. Your license bond is your ticket to get into the game, but a performance bond, that's your ticket for a specific, really important play. And for a lot of jobs, this isn't just good business practice. It's actually the law. Under what's called the Federal Miller Act, any government construction contract that's over $150,000 requires performance bonds. This is exactly why having your bonding all sorted out is absolutely essential if you ever want to bid on those big public works projects. Okay, so we've covered the what and the why. Now, let's get practical. How do you actually get one of these bonds? You know what? The whole process is probably a lot more straightforward than you think. Let's talk about the two things everyone wants to know: cost and timing. A standard license bond, that might only cost you a few $100 a year. Pretty simple. But a performance bond for, let's say, a $500,000 project, that's priced totally differently. It's a percentage of the contract value, usually somewhere between 0.5% and 4%. Now, that percentage isn't just pulled out of thin air. It all depends on your business's financial health, your credit, your track record. And because the financial risk is so much higher for the surety company, a license bond can get approved instantly, while a performance bond might take a few days for them to do that financial deep dive. And what's really cool is how technology is just completely changing this game. A full 73% of bonds are now processed digitally. What that means for you is that getting the bonds you need, especially those instant approval license bonds, is faster, easier, and way more accessible than it has ever been before. So look, if we boil it all down, getting bonded really comes down to three simple steps. You apply online, you get approved, which again is often instant for license bonds, and then you get your documents and you can start bidding on jobs or getting to work. The whole system is designed to be quick and efficient so you can get back to business. And that brings us right back to where we started. With these huge infrastructure projects kicking off all across the country, the opportunities out there are just enormous. Your business has the skills, you're ready to build, you're ready to grow, so the only question left is your bonding in place to go out and seize that opportunity?